Ancient humans were apex predators for 2 million years, a new study discovers. Paleolithic cuisine was anything but lean and green, according to a study on the diets of our Pleistocene ancestors. For a good 2 million years, Homo sapiens and their ancestors ditched the salad and dined heavily on meat, putting them at the top of the food chain. I can imagine the constipation that they had. Now, it's not quite the balanced diet of berries, grains, and steak we might picture when we think of paleo food, but according to a study from 2021 by anthropologists from Tel Aviv Israel University and University of Minho in Portugal, modern hunter-gatherers have given us the wrong impression of what we once ate. This comparison is futile, however, because 2 million years ago, hunter-gatherer societies could hunt and consume elephants and other large animals, while today's hunter-gatherers do not have access to such bounty. Researchers Mickey Ben-Dor from Israel's Tel Aviv University explains when the research was published. I looked through hundreds of previous studies on everything from modern human anatomy and physiology to measures of the isotopes inside ancient human bones and teeth, suggest we were primarily apex predators until roughly 12,000 years ago. That's around the time of the Younger Dryas, right? Where it did away with the megaflora and megafauna, saber-toothed tigers and all that were gone. Reconstructing the grocery list of hominids who lived as far back as 2.5 million years ago is made all that much more difficult by the fact plant remains don't preserve as easily as animal bones, teeth, and shells. Other studies have used chemical analysis of bones and tooth enamel to find localized examples of diets heavy in plant material, but extrapolating this to humanity as a whole is not so straightforward. We can find ample evidence of game hunting in the fossil record, but to determine what we gathered, anthropologists have traditionally turned to modern-day ethnography based on the assumption that little has changed. According to Ben-Dor and his colleagues, this is a huge mistake. The entire ecosystem has changed, and conditions cannot be compared, he said. The Pleistocene epoch was a defining time in Earth's history for us humans. By the end of it, we were marching our way into the far corners of the globe, outliving every other hominid on our branch of the family tree. Dominated by the last great ice age, most of what is today Europe and North America was regularly buried under thick glaciers. With so much water locked up as ice, ecosystems around the world were vastly different to what we see today. Large beasts roamed the landscape, including mammoths, mastodons, and giant sloths, in far greater numbers than we see today. Of course, it's no secret that Homo sapiens used their ingenuity and uncanny endurance to hunt down these massive meal tickets, but the frequency with which they preyed on these herbivores has not been so easy to figure out. Rather than rely solely on fossil record or make tenuous comparisons with pre-agricultural cultures, the researchers turned to the evidence embedded in their own bodies and compared it with our closest cousins. We decided to use other methods to reconstruct the diet of Stone Age humans, to examine the memory preserved in our own bodies, our metabolism, genetics, and physical build, said Ben-Dor. He said, human behavior changes rapidly, but evolution is slow. The body remembers. For example, compared with other primates, our bodies need more energy per unit of body mass, especially when it comes to our energy-hungry brains. Our social time, such as when it comes to raising children, also limits the amount of time we can spend looking for food. We have higher fat reserves and can make use of them by rapidly turning fat into ketones when the need arises. Unlike other omnivores, where fat cells are few but large, ours are small and numerous, echoing those of a predator. Our digestive systems are also suspiciously like that of animals higher up in the food chain. Having unusually strong stomach acid is just the thing we might need for breaking down proteins and killing harmful bacteria you'd expect to find on a week-old mammoth chop. Even our genome points to a heavier reliance on a meat-rich diet than a sugar-rich one. For example, geneticists have concluded that areas of the human genome were closed off to enable a fat-rich diet, while in chimpanzees areas of the genome were open to enable a sugar-rich diet, said Ben Dorr. The team's argument is extensive, touching upon evidence in tool use, signs of trace elements and nitrogen isotopes in Paleolithic remains, and dental wear. It all tells a story where our genus trophic level, Homo's position in the food web, became highly carnivorous for us and our cousins Homo erectus roughly 2.5 million years ago, and remained that way until the Upper Paleolithic around 11,700 years ago, after the last ice age. From there, studies on modern hunter-gatherers communities become a little more useful as a decline in populations of large animals and fragmentation of cultures around the world saw to more plant consumption, culminating in the Neolithic revolution of farming and agriculture. None of this is to say we ought to eat more meat. Our evolutionary past is not an instruction guide on human health, and as the researchers emphasize, our world is not what it used to be. But knowing where our ancestors sat in the food web has a big impact on understanding everything from our own health and physiology to our influence over the environment in times gone by. The research was published in American Journal of Physical Anthropology, and it's on Science Alert by Mike McRae. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.